So I've talked at length about the situation surrounding Oklahoma in terms of the coaching acquisitions. Once Lincoln Riley left, Brent Venables coming in and the hires made subsequently thereafter. But every time I've talked about that, I've been sure to ask y'all what your favorite addition has been under Brent Venables. And today, we're going to talk about two names. The first, the name so many of you gave to me. And secondly, the name that really excites me from the outside looking in when I'm looking at the moves Brent Venables has made. So before we do all that, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Give me a Y for yes, N for no. And are you excited about the entirety of this coaching staff with all names included? Let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you do enjoy the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, they may seem small, but they're massive to content creators such as myself in both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, we're going to quickly talk about these two names, and the first is none other than Schmitty, the strength and conditioning coach that reclaims his old title. And this is a move that so many of you have brought to my attention in saying that this is the move you're most excited about. And look, deservedly so. Because the intriguing thing about the Schmitty move comes in multiple different facets. First and foremost, the one that I don't think has really been talked about and I would really like to address is how it matches the current philosophy of the Oklahoma Sooners. And when you come from a philosophy that was under Lincoln Riley and then you have a total shift in what the culture is going to be, every area, right? I mean, you're talking about going from a coach that's offensive driven to a coach that's defensive driven. So you're going to have completely different philosophies in the building. Anytime you have that, you need to be able to make sure the coaching hires made thereafter can make sure that that philosophy is successfully installed. And in comes Schmitty, a guy who is hard-nosed in the strength and conditioning program, which is really what Oklahoma needs to match the philosophy they're bringing to the table, which is intense, strong, and aggressive. And that's something that Schmitty can absolutely help the Sooners get back to. And when you look at it, I think this is a move that not only makes sense from a philosophical standpoint, but considering two things. First and foremost, Schmitty was a one-time member of the Oklahoma Sooners staff, so he has the familiarity with Norman, he has the familiarity with Oklahoma, he has the familiarity with the program. That's awesome, especially when you have a total overhaul in coaching to get a guy in there that already has a familiarity with that environment. It's only going to cut down on the time necessary to gain a familiarity with the coaching staff. And secondly, even though Schmitty was a one-time member of the Oklahoma coaching staff, after he left there, he spent time in the SEC. And with Oklahoma making that move to the SEC, getting in a guy that not only has the familiarity of the Sooners, but has an understanding of the SEC landscape and what's necessary to be successful from a strength and conditioning standpoint in that league is a double win for the Oklahoma Sooners. And so because of that, you're getting in a guy that's going to bring back a hard-nosed approach to that area of the team, which is necessary under the new staff, and he has an understanding of how to be successful in the strength and conditioning department in the league Oklahoma is going to be going to. You wrap it all in a package with an individual that has already been at the Oklahoma Sooners. He's a coach that Oklahoma fans would have loved to have bring back, and ultimately they get to bring him back. So the Schmitty hire was really the total package when you're looking at all of these different reasons. And because of that, it's a hire I absolutely understand why so many of you are so excited about. But as much as I agree the Schmitty hire was necessary and it's one that's going to tie in a lot together, there's a hire that really stands out to me, and it's not going to be a surprise when I talk about it because I've talked about it before. And that's Todd Bates, the defensive line coach, a one-time member of my favorite team, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Todd Bates then spent time coaching the defensive line before ultimately in 2017, he was called by Clemson, and everything since then has just been on the up for Todd Bates. Because Todd Bates is a fantastic defensive line coach. This much is true, but he's also a phenomenal recruiter. Getting in multiple blue chip prospects and a 5-star to boot. And then when you put into the equation that Todd Bates isn't coming by himself, he's coming with Brent Venables, so there's that continuation of relationship, it's kind of a double win. Cuts down on the time necessary for Todd Bates to readjust because even though it might be a new setting, he's used to some of the faces in the environment, which is absolutely going to help him. Todd Bates is someone I think is going to excite a lot of recruits, and I think that the defensive line is an area we need to keep an eye on in Oklahoma recruiting because of his presence there. I mean, he really is one of the elite defensive line coaches in college football, and whenever you bring in a guy like that into your building, it's absolutely going to help on the recruiting front. So those two hires, I think, are slam dunk hires. And look, I've talked at length about how Brent Venables has put together a really solid staff top to bottom. Not many areas you can turn to and be even in the slightest bit disappointed with a hire, but these two hires in particular, in my opinion, really stand out. So many of you have brought to my attention Schmitty and why you think he's a great hire, and y'all are all 100% right in that. Couldn't disagree with a word stated. He brings back familiarity, having been at Oklahoma already. He brings in an understanding of how to be successful within the SEC, which is ultimately where Oklahoma is looking to move. And he matches the philosophy that is now going to be instilled from the top down with Brent Venables, switching from an offensive-minded head coach in Lincoln Riley to a defensive-minded one in Brent Venables. Schmitty can help ensure that transition of philosophy. And then my favorite, Todd Bates. Y'all know I love recruiting, and Todd Bates is a fantastic recruiter. I'd bet a lot of money that Todd Bates is going to be hot on the trail of a lot of top prospects in that category, and we've got to keep an eye on that. But now I'm really interested in hearing from y'all. Hop down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.